If you think she moved on too fast, you're reading this wrong. She did not move on fast. She moved on years ago. What you got was the announcement. And that gap between when she started leaving and when you found out about it, that is the part most men miss completely. My name is Noah Allen. I help husbands rebuild trust, reignite connection using the heroic husband method, even when she is emotionally shut down or ready to leave. And today I want to give you something most coaches and counselors will never tell you. Because understanding this one thing will completely change how you respond to her right now. Get it wrong, and you fight for your marriage at the wrong stage. And that mistake is one that actually ends it. So stay with me. This is the part that matters. Here's what's actually happening. When a woman says she's done, most men look at it like a timeline and think, well, she got over this so fast. How is she already moving forward? How can she already seem okay? And the answer is simple. She's not moving on fast. She has been moving for years. She just stopped waiting for you to notice. Think about it like a reservoir. You have a dam holding the water back. The water level represents everything that she had left to give: her hope, her trust, her patience, her investment in the marriage. Now imagine that dam develops a small crack. You can't see it. It's on the inside. The water is slowly seeping out day by day, month by month. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. You're still fishing off the same dock. The surface looks calm. You can't tell the level is dropping. Then one day, you go down to the dock and the lake is gone. And you think, how did this happen so fast? But the crack was there for years. The water did not drain overnight. Every dismissal, every minimized complaint, every moment she brought something to you and felt unheard. That was water draining through the crack. Every time she needed your presence and got absence instead, water draining. Every time she said, we need to talk about this, and you said, well, we could do it later. Or you said, you're being too emotional, water draining. Every time she brought the same wound expecting a difference and got the same response, water draining. By the time she announced that she was done, the reservoir had been empty for a long time. And what you saw was the announcement. What you missed was the drought. Here's the psychological reality behind what I just described. Women grieve relationships while they're still in them. Men grieve after. She was processing her pain, her disappointment, her grief while you were still in the marriage, thinking things were fine, operating like it was normal. She was lying awake at night. She was pulling back emotionally while you were focused on work. She was quietly removing herself from the marriage a little at a time, while you were carrying on like everything was okay. And that's not a character attack. That's the mechanics of this. There is a concept in developmental psychology that most men have never been taught. And men and women pass through the same emotional development stages. But the wounds look completely different. And one of the most important differences is this. A woman's base need in the relationship is safety. Not physical safety, emotional safety. The safety of knowing she can bring her full self to you, her fears, her frustrations, her deep emotional weight, and you will not flinch, not dismiss, not deflect. Every time you failed that test, and you probably failed it 100 times, without knowing it was real, she registered the failure, and the reservoir dropped a little more. This is why the emotional layering protocol starts where it does. The first stage is healing, not bonding, not reconciliation, healing. Because before you can rebuild anything, you have to understand what was damaged in the first place. And what was damaged is her sense of safety with you. That is the foundation the whole house is built on. You can't skip it. You cannot talk her past it. You cannot muscle through it with intensity. It has to be addressed directly. Now let me ask you something. Before I go to point 2, if you're watching this video and any of this is landing, if you've been asking yourself how far things have gone, how she seems so certain, how you feel like you missed the entire conversation, I want you to do one thing. Click the link in the description below and book a free consultation call with my team. We work specifically with men in crisis. We are not here to give you generic advice. We get on a call, look at your specific situation, and give you a real picture of what is driving her withdrawal and what happens next. You can also grab the Heroic Husband book. That link is in the description, or you can find us on Amazon. This is the foundation of everything I teach. If you want to understand the full framework before making a decision, start there. All right, point 2. Why did he not see it coming? This is the part most men beat themselves up for. I want to be direct with you about something first. You did not miss the signals because you were careless. You missed them because you were filtering her emotional signals through the wrong lens. I work with a man named James, 42 years old, owned and operated a logistics company. He built it from nothing, honestly. But every external measure, he was winning. His marriage had what he would call normal friction. She complained about the schedule. She brought up the same conversations over and over. She got frustrated with him about things that seemed small. Dinners he missed, things he said to the kids when he was stressed, the way he checked out when she tried to talk at night. James heard noise. He'd not hear signal. He would not long apologize when she got emotional and then go right back to operating the exact same way. Because from where he stood, the marriage was working. They had a house, a routine. She was still there. The kids were fine. He thought that was enough. What Jacob did not understand is what I call the utopia gap. When you think everything is fine, she might be dying on the inside. What feels like a small irritation to you is a wound that she's been carrying for years. She speaks in symptoms. She talks about the dishes, about the kids, about the schedule, but underneath that, there is a deeper wound, what we call a bleeding point, an emotional injury that is driving all of her surface behavior. The dishes are not about the dishes. The schedule is not about the schedule. Those are symptoms. The wound underneath might sound like, I have been carrying this alone for a long time. Or, I keep bringing this up and nothing changes. He hears me, but he doesn't feel it. Or even, every time I try to let him in, he fixes it and dismisses it. Or he turns it back on himself. He cannot hold what I'm carrying, and I'm tired of trying. That is what she's been saying in code and symptoms, in repeated conversations that went exactly nowhere. And every time James responded logically by defending himself, explaining his reasoning, justifying his actions, walked her through why she was wrong, he drained the reservoir. He confirmed her deepest fear, that she was alone in the marriage. That is the feedback loop, failure. She brings the pain, he deflects. She confirms her belief that he cannot hold her. She pulls away further, over and over for years, until one day she stops bringing it, and then silence. Most men experience that silence as peace. She stopped complaining. Things must be better. That silence isn't peace. That silence is withdrawal. She stopped bringing it to you because she stopped believing it would ever matter. And she started grieving, quietly, privately, alone, while you were at work, while you were in the same room, while you were asleep next to her. And she felt like you were miles apart. James did not recognize that silence for what it was. He thought he had turned a corner. 2 months later, she told him she was not sure that she wanted to stay married anymore. And he was completely blindsided because from his side, the reservoir, the dock, they looked fine. It looked the same. He had no idea the water had been gone for months. Now, here's what I need you to understand about your situation right now. This is point number 3. This is the most important thing I will say in this video. The dangerous mistake most men make when she announces she's done is that they fight at the wrong stage. James's first instinct was everything you probably recognize. He wanted to sit her down, have a real conversation, tell her everything he understood now, make promises, show his insight, show how much he loved her all at once, urgently, with everything he had. And I had to tell him, you cannot walk into a surgery room and demand the patient feel better before the wound is addressed. She's not at the beginning of the problem. She's at the end of a grieving process that started years ago without your knowledge. The conversation she had is not the one that you think you are ready to have. Most men show up in that moment like they are responding to something new. She's exhausted from something that is years old. And when you show up from fresh urgency and new promises, she does not feel hope. She feels a familiar pattern. Big moment, big words, back to normal. That movie, she has already seen it. She knows exactly how it ends. That is why grand gestures fail. That is why the long conversation where you pour your heart out makes things worse instead of better. That is why begging and pleading and trying to convince her confirms exactly what she already believes. Because you are showing up to step 1 of a problem that she's on step 10 of. The gap between where you are and where she is emotionally, that is the part men miss. And closing that gap requires something completely different than most men try. Let me tell you what James did next. Because this is where most men make the fatal error, and James did not. Instead of the big conversation, he changed how he showed up in the smallest moments. There is a concept I teach called the old you versus new you contrast. It does not happen in a speech. It happens in the moment that she expects you to defend yourself, and you hold it instead. The moment she expects you to shut down, and you stay present instead. The moment that she braces for the same man that she has always seen, and something is measurably different. Not different words, different in energy and presence, and what you can hold. Jacob told me something about 6 weeks into this work. He said, she looked at me differently last night. I can't explain it, but something shifted. And that's how it starts. Not with a breakthrough conversation, not with her saying all is forgiven. It starts with a look, a registered moment where something in her nervous system detects this man is different. And that moment, as small as it seems, is what reopens the door. She had already decided to close. Here's why this works. The feminine mirrors and multiplies the masculine. Whatever energy you bring into the home, she amplifies it. If you bring panic, she amplifies panic. If you bring desperation, she amplifies distance. But when you bring grounded, consistent presence, she mirrors that too. Not all at once, not instantly, but gradually. Because the safety that she has been looking for, the safety she lost faith you could provide, starts to register as real through your behavior, not your words. This is why the 3 stages of the emotional learning protocol are sequenced the way they are. Healing, shifting, and bonding. They are not arbitrary. They are mapped to where she is emotionally. She cannot shift until she has experienced enough consistent safety to believe that change is real. She cannot bond until that shift is complete. And she cannot feel safe until she sees a new pattern, not a new promise, repeat itself in the exact moments the old pattern used to fail. That is the mechanism. That is the only thing that actually moves this. Now, I want to say something before I close, because I know exactly where some of you are right now. You've been trying. You've been reading, watching videos, working on yourself, and she has not moved. And you're starting to wonder if this is even possible. If she's already too far gone, if the window is closed. And the frustration is real, and it is a signal. The signal is not, this cannot be fixed. The signal is, you have been working with the wrong map. You have been applying effort to the wrong stage of her emotional process. James was doing all the right things from the wrong starting point. Once he understood where she actually was, not where he hoped she was, and started meeting her there, everything shifted. He's still married, still building. And here's what James told me about his kids. He said they're watching me differently. My oldest said something the other day that stopped me cold. He said, Dad, you seem like you know what you're doing now. That is legacy, not just to save marriage. A son who learned what a man looks like when he decides to lead instead of coast. Every man who learns to hold what his family needs changes what his kids carry into their own lives, into their own homes, and their own families. That is what is at stake here, not just your marriage, the whole line. Now here is where I need you to make a decision. The window is not closed, but it's not unlimited either. The men I work with who save their marriages are not the ones who had the easiest situations. So you can go check out our client success playlist here. They're ones who stopped waiting to see what would happen and decided to lead before they felt ready. If today landed, if something I said hit close to home, don't let this be you. Do not let this be a video you watched. Let it be the day that you moved. Click that link in the description below. Book a free consultation call with my team. We'll get on a call, map out exactly where you are, identify what's been driving her withdrawal, and give you a clear picture of what needs to happen. No guessing, no generic advice, your specific situation. We also have a free training below, right? We also have a free training in the description below. You can go check that out. It is the foundation of a full system. And if you want to understand everything I teach before making any decision, you could start there. But do not let today end without taking one step. Because the men who look back say, I wish I had done something when I had a chance. Those men are not men who had situations too far gone. They're men who had windows and decided to wait. Do not be that man. I'm Noah Allen, and I'll see you in the next one.